Hey folks, welcome back to KJ's channel. I've been thinking over the past week, last week at camp, several people asked why I do a channel and what the purpose was. And I always started this channel, my personal channel, as kind of like a personal journal, daily thing. Did that for a full year, and then this year I've been trying to highlight different things and not put the pressure on myself to post every single day, which has been mostly helpful. I don't have that pressure, but I still kind of keep that journal type of thing. I tried to do different stuff, like the subscription boxes and talk about different things, but quite honestly, it all goes back to, I just want to show what real regular life is like for a pastor, pastor of a small town. There's lots of channels where people do fun and exciting things over and over and over again, and that's just not real life. Real life is the boring, mundane stuff you do every single day. But I've noticed that one of the things missing from my channel, and honestly I don't know what to do to fix it, is the actual pastoring stuff. And what I mean by that is, I tell you guys I go to the office or I did some things today, but the details I leave out for several reasons. One, I protect the privacy of my church and the church members and the things that they may be going through and dealing with. I don't want to create an atmosphere where people feel like they're going to be on display if you know, I'm talking about what we're dealing with. So yeah, I mean, those type things. But then also a lot of it is very mundane. You do the same thing year after year or day after day, and once you've kind of made a video about it, it's hard to just keep making the same video over and over again. I just tried to die just then. Anyway, that's my thoughts for this morning when I get ready to run. Trying to figure out a way to inform you about pastoring and what life is like, trying to figure out and pastor. Maybe do some nuts and bolts stuff of what I do, but leave the details out. I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess, together. If you got some ideas, let me know. Throw it down there. Well, let's talk about that today. All right, so I guess one place to start is when I do office work. What am I doing in the office? Well, there's several things. Obviously, the most time-consuming and the one that probably most people expect is sermon preparation. And so sermon prep includes prayer, it includes research, it includes some writing, it includes a lot of reading, and so that probably takes up the majority of the time in there. At some point I might do a video on how I do sermon prep, but quite honestly the best thing to do is take a homiletics class. I know you can take a class from Southeastern called Christ-Centered Preaching, or you can buy any multitude of books and get a good basis. The general practice of putting together a sermon is not, there's Steve right there. The general practice of putting together a sermon is not the hard part, it's the general concept of it. It's the actual doing it. Just like I'm telling my son right now, doing math, he understands the concept, but he's looking for shortcuts, and there's no shortcuts. You just got to do the process. So anyway, that takes up most of my time in the office. However, that's not everything that I do. That is probably 65 to 70% of what office time is. The rest of the time is taken up with administrative stuff. The church has a secretary, but I have to make sure that the mail is checked. Not a secretary. I said that wrong. The church has a treasurer who actually pays the bills and manages the money, but I have to make sure that the mail is checked, that all the bills are here, and kind of make sure that stuff is kind of overseen. Have to make sure that all paperwork is done every year. Church has to file a nonprofit re-up with the state. Any type of other mail that comes in, I have to kind of go through and decide what's going to be used here at the church, what's not, all that type of stuff. And then, of course, I have to just kind of oversee the general functioning of the building, if there's any needs or anything that needs to be taken up there. So, administratively, there's that type of stuff. And that takes up a majority of the rest of the time. But prayer, reading, checking the mail, just kind of doing everyday chores, all that type of stuff takes up the majority of the time. I don't have a lot of office visits. Most people in a small town like this are long ways away. Office visits are not something they just kind of stop in and do. Every so often we do, but not. It's rare, not something I expect on a regular basis. And then there's been a few times when I've done discipleship classes or something like that during my office time. And that takes up most of my office time. But as you can tell, I'm not in the office all of the time. There's some pastors who have regular office hours. I don't. I come down here and manage what I need to do. Sometimes I do some office work from home. And then the rest of my day is usually spent looking for opportunities to love on people, share the gospel, communicate, build relationships, visit, all of that type of stuff that for me has honestly been the hardest struggle of ministry. If you tell me, okay, I have to preach and teach the Bible on these dates and be ready to do that, that's fine. But telling me that when I walk down to the post office and spend 10 minutes talking to an older guy from town that doesn't have a relationship with Christ is ministry, it's harder for me to wrap my head around that and understand. And I don't really know where that comes from, other than to say that my background has been in tangible work with your hands and seeing results from that more than the philosophical understanding of ministry. I don't know if I said all that right, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Another thing that keeps me busy in the office and actually gets me down here more often than just sermon prep would be school. And I did sign up for another class this semester. I took the last semester off and then the summer. And so I'm going back and signed up for the preaching class that I had originally signed up for at the beginning of last semester. And then withdrew just because everything was busy. So I will be going back and taking that class, plus the evangelism class that I have to take as part of my scholarship. I've spent about 6 hours here today. I skimmed through 2 books. I was telling another guy this one time that the best book I've ever read was How to Read a Book. And quite honestly, there's so many books out there that a quick browse through it helps me decide whether I need to read it or not. So anyway, I skimmed through 2 books, decided I didn't need to read them. Started another book that I am going to take some time to read. Then finished up some sermon prep, spent some time praying. Yeah. So it is now time to head home. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.